Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Nash Jocic, bodybuilding champion, somebody who has been in bodybuilding world for over 40 years. In the meantime, I competed 46 times all around the globe and I won 17 titles. I also managed to train over 3,000 clients and help them to get in the best shape of their lives. In the meantime, I also published 10 books, and 8 of them are available on my website, nashfittraining.com. You have the link in the comment down there, and my books are fully packed with a very detailed explanation about all these subjects that we cover on my channel, like muscle growth, fat loss, nutrition, lifestyle change, etc. So today I want to talk to you about fat loss versus weight loss. Are you one of those people who have lost weight but then wondered why I still have fat around my belly or on my hips or my legs when I lost 20 pounds or 30 pounds of weight? Yes, that happens quite often. And the problem that is literally pandemic in the world because of main mistakes that people constantly do, not understanding importance of fat loss and prioritizing weight loss, has led the world to get into pandemic of obesity. For example, in United States, over 40% of adults over 20 years of age are obese. So obesity is on the rise. And we are still focusing on weight loss. So how is this possible if you're losing weight and people are becoming more obese? Well, the reason for that is that we are not helping people to lose fat. And this is a huge difference. So I will cover a few different topics in this video, and I hope you watch this video all the way till the end, because at the end you will understand, you will have a complete picture of what is the importance of fat loss and why is weight loss secondary or even irrelevant. Unfortunately, doctors today still focus on weight loss more than fat loss, and one of the most ridiculous measurements is still in practice. It's been there for decades, and it's called body mass index, or BMI. That is completely irrelevant. To use that is something that doesn't pay attention to body composition, to your fat percentage. It's just telling you about your height and your weight. And if you match certain criteria, you will be in the green. If you are not matching that criteria, you will be seen as overweight or obese, which is absolutely wrong. And I will explain to you why is that. As I said, people struggle to lose fat because they're focused on weight loss. And this is something that doesn't really work, right? So before we dive into this topic in few sections, let me tell you that in 2010 or 11, I have published a book which is called Fat Loss. And deliberately, I have chosen the title Fat Loss because I don't really care about weight loss, as I will explain to you why. And in that book, I unravel all these problems. Not only how do we get fat, but I also talk about why do we get fat. So we store body fat, first of all, because this is our way of survival, right? So when we eat too much of certain foods, or we eat too much at one time, or just for a few days, we store body fat. So evolutionary, that was our way of survival, because food was scarce, and in the days when people have abundance of food, they would eat a lot, and they would store some body fat. That body fat was actually necessary because of the days or weeks of famine, of forced fasting, because food wasn't available. And evolutionary, Homo sapiens has been around for 300 or more thousand years. And this ability of human body to store body fat has actually helped us survive. So in the days when you don't eat, you would use that body fat as energy, so you will continue to exist. Now, the problem is that in the modern world, we don't have those periods of famine at all. So when we get fat, we never use that body fat because we never go without food. We just keep accumulating more and more body fat and basically becoming obese. So this is the reason why actually we have that ability. A healthy body stores fat. This is nothing wrong with that. The problem is that we never use that fat. Now, in the part 2 of my book, I talk about the mental attitude, and I talk about why do we get fat. So I'm explaining there in detail what are all those factors that actually get us into that situation that we accumulate extra body fat. So among these factors, I have identified, let's say, 3, which are very critical. This is culture, number 1, then you have social factors, and then you have knowledge. So culture basically dominates, different cultures dominate different regions of the world, and people culturally connected to food. Social occasions also, they are like where every time you're socializing, you must eat and you must drink, which is not necessarily the best thing that you can do. Well, if you socialize, why do you have to eat? Even worse, why do you have to overeat? So this is another one. Obviously, I explained that more in detail. And the third critical factor, why do we get fat? It's basically is a mental issue. Is lack of knowledge. So lack of knowledge is something that I'm trying to fight for decades, providing books, writing articles in different magazines, and also talking to you on YouTube in different videos explaining issues. Well, knowledge is extremely important because without information, you would just follow your cultural or your social habits, and most of you will probably get fat just because this is how your family did it, your culture is doing it, your people in your country are doing it, and well, unfortunately, human physiology doesn't understand this. Doesn't know what culture is, doesn't know what nation is, doesn't know what Christmas is, or Easter, or whatever, or holiday, or maybe wedding, or binge night. Your physiology will just respond to everything that you put in your body, meaning food and drinks. And if that is satisfactory, that will be used as building blocks for tissues and organs, and also for energy. But if food and drink that you put in your body is not adequate, that will be stored as body fat and also will damage many organs and tissues in the body, which have to struggle to break those different foods and drinks that you put in the body, which shouldn't be really there. Now, in the part 3, I talk about how do we get fat. So I talk about the physiology of getting fat. And as I explained in the first chapter in the book, we have traditionally, evolutionary basically, storing fat in order to survive. So that's something that is very important, obviously for survival. But as we have passed that stage, and in last maybe, let's say, 100 years, we have entered the time when time of plenty. Most of the world, in most corners of the world, people have too much food. The food is everywhere. Food is addictive. Addictive, actually, ingredients are put into food like sugar and other additives. So they make you just want to eat more and more. And also not just that, but also when the food is predominantly made of carbohydrates, when the carbohydrates are your main macronutrient, you will enter that vicious cycle of insulin spikes and drops, and you will basically hook to eating many times a day, snacking and eating, and you will constantly be attached to food because you need that blood sugar level up. And when the carbohydrates make predominantly your food, daily food, you will be imprisoned in that insulin vicious cycle. So basically, every time you eat carbohydrates, insulin will skyrocket, After a few hours, it will drop below the normal. Then you will become very hungry. Then you will have to eat again. And that goes on and on and on, creating all kind of different illnesses, which are extremely dangerous, not just bad, but can be also detrimental. So things like heart diseases, diabetes too, and also some cancers are all directly related to high consumption of carbohydrates and obesity. The problem that has also led many people to get overweight and obese is that people believed for decades that this is how they were taught, that fat is actually very bad for you. So most of the people eliminated completely fat out of their diet and replaced fat with carbohydrates. Now, with a higher consumption of carbohydrates and lower consumption of fat, people entered that perpetual insulin vicious cycle, and bit by bit, month after month, year after year, they started getting obese. So the problem is not basically in fat, the problem is in carbohydrates. I explained that in the chapter 3, and the thing with the diet and also exercise is extremely important, is critical, and is not something that should be done just sparingly, a couple of months a year before you go on holiday, or maybe you have a wedding or any occasion in which you want to be in shape. But it should be your lifestyle. So you will need to understand that in order to lose fat, you can't just do it for an occasion. You have to change your lifestyle. You have to change your eating habits, and you have to change your exercise habits. Now, in part 4 of my book, I talk about nutrition. I talk about food pyramid, which is unfortunately as such that at the bottom of the pyramid are mainly carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, and then you go into some protein at the top of the pyramid, and at the very top you have fat, which is actually it should be other way around. But the problem with with foods that we eat, the carbohydrates dominance in everybody's diet is that regardless of glycemic index, it can be high or it can be low. There is something else that matters more, and it's called glycemic load. So basically, more carbohydrates you eat, regardless of glycemic index, when you multiply glycemic index, whatever it is, with the amount of carbohydrates you eat in grams, you will get glycemic load. So sometimes if you eat higher glycemic index carbohydrates, but lower in amount, you will end up with lesser glycemic load than if you eat low glycemic carbohydrates, but in higher amount. So when you multiply that, you have much higher glycemic load. Another caveat that most of the people didn't want to understand. Then obviously we have a protein, which is essential. Then you have fat, which is also essential. As a matter of fact, you have essential amino acids and essential fatty acids, and they are called essential because you have to eat them, you have to take them from outside, but they are not produced, they cannot be produced in the body, but they are not essential carbohydrates because glucose can always be manufactured by different mechanisms in the body, like for example gluconeogenesis. You can manufacture from proteins, from ketones, from fat. Glucose is always available. So protein and fat should be seen as crucial, as most important, while carbohydrates should be seen as less important, maybe just as fillers in particular occasions. And then I talk also about the fiber and water, different micronutrients, I talk about food combination, and I also give sample diets there, and also supplements for fat loss. So this is all covered in chapter 4. Now in chapter 5, I talk about the importance of physical exercise. So as I said, fat loss is very difficult to achieve. Fat loss is not something that is going to happen quickly, and it requires your lifestyle change. And lifestyle change means that you change your attitude towards eating. You completely change your diet, and you eat that new selection of foods every single day. That changes, that makes a huge change in your metabolic environment, and is very important for your metabolic health. So for example, your insulin will go down, your fasting insulin probably the most important marker in your blood when you do blood tests, but unfortunately you probably never done it because your doctor has never asked for it. Then you go and ask him why. So fasting insulin will go down, which means that your insulin sensitivity will be very high. If your fasting insulin is high, that means that you're very close to getting to become insulin resistance and possibly getting into diabetes too. So all these dietary changes and also daily exercise routine are critically very important for your lifestyle change. There is another book that I've written on the subject, and it's called Lifestyle Change, which is very important. This is the only way to lose body fat. You're not going to lose body fat in 2-3 weeks, in 2-3 months. You can lose weight, but you're not going to lose body fat. When you lose 20-30 pounds of weight in 2 months, you will regain that weight guaranteed in no time, plus more. The mechanisms are very simple to understand because when you lose weight quickly, your metabolism drops down. So you end up with having much lower metabolism because the body will fight back. And restricted calories, which are usually the main diet advised by experts and doctors, so-called, whoever they are, lowering calories can only come up to the point that which your body will stop, will shut down completely, and it will go into the hibernation mode, and it will literally slow down metabolism to the hibernating level. So you may end up with a metabolism of 800, 900, maybe 1,000 calories, which is very, very low. When you stop with that crash diet, which is usually the diet that will bring you quick results in losing weight, you will start eating. But now, because your metabolism is not anymore 2,000 calories per day, but is only 1,000, you will put that weight back in no time. Sometimes that weight comes back within a week. And then you gain even more. And you gain more because your metabolism is now completely suppressed, is very low. So basically, these low calorie diets, crash diets for quick weight loss never work, and they never will. Now, if you're thinking about losing fat, this is again something that I talk in my book, and I'm explaining to you now. And this is something that requires lifestyle change. And when you start losing fat, you never stop. You will be losing fat until you get to some healthy levels of body fat, maybe 10-12% for men, maybe 15-18% for women, which is very arbitrary talking in these percentages. As you know, I'm not, the people who know me, I'm not very big believer in figures, in statistics, but you will get to the point when the fat will simply, in a few months' time, the fat will go. And then whatever happens with your weight doesn't really matter. What if, for example, you start exercising, you start with a strenuous weight training, and within 6 months you put 10 pounds of muscle, and at the same time you have lost 10 pounds of body fat. So your weight will remain constant, but you will change dramatically. You will change so much that everybody will be shocked with your appearance, but your weight is still the same. Let's say you are 200 pounds. So the weight doesn't mean anything. So what if you, let's say in a year, put 20 pounds of muscle and lose 10 pounds of fat? So you're going to be heavier 10 pounds, not lighter, and then you're going to be even in better shape. So you see this story of pounds, of weight loss, of body mass index is absolute nonsense. Because body mass index, for example, my experience, I went once when I changed my address, I went to the new health clinic, and the first thing they've done, they measured my height, my weight, they looked at the body mass index. I was really in top shape. I was about 100 kgs, ready to do some photo shoots for, actually that was in 2000 when I was doing photo shoot for my books. And a nurse said to me, "Oh, you are obese, you have to lose weight, you're too heavy." And I was standing in front of her, almost ripped. So imagine my body composition, which was maybe 7-8% body fat, and somebody who can come and have right weight for their height, and their body fat percentage will probably 25 or 30. If you have a skinny guy with big belly, he will be okay. But I was obese because I was a top athlete in top shape. So this is the story. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Body mass index. So there is something that I would like to see more, which would be body composition index or anything like that, rather than body mass index. It's very simple. It's very outdated. So in the in the part 6 of the book, I talk about the most common mistakes in the fat loss program. And again, if you focus just on weight loss, yes, you can lose weight. This is no problem. The question is, what are you going to lose? So you can lose 10, 20 pounds in 6 weeks, in 8 weeks, or even more. But the problem is what that weight will come from. What are you going to lose? Did you lose just fat? Probably not. Did you lose muscle? Probably yes. Water? Yes. So usually, if you don't do it properly, with these weight loss regimes, you will be losing more than 50% of the muscle tissue. And this is disaster because you're slowing down your metabolism. You want your metabolism to be fast. You want to burn lots of calories during the day. And the only way that is going to happen is if you change your lifestyle. You start doing resistance training, weight training, and also you start eating healthy with protein dominating your every meal, because eating protein increases your metabolism for 30%. So if you have protein in every meal, your metabolism is naturally going to go up because protein requires more energy to be digested than carbohydrates, which only raise metabolism for 10%, and fat that don't raise it at all. So these permanent changes in your diet and in your exercise routine are necessary, and they should be constant. This is called lifestyle change. Only then you will be slowly start to lose body fat. The procedure is slow, but is one-way road. You will lose all your body fat as long as you are following the advice. This would be, this is also, there is another thing that is important to mention in this 6th chapter, which I'm talking about, and this is basically that over-relying on fat-burning supplements. People think if they buy fat-burning supplements, they're going to lose fat faster, but this is not the case. I mean, human physiology is much more complex than you can answer in a pill, especially when it comes to fat loss. It's a very complicated procedure. It requires a hormonal change. It requires more of hormone glucagon rather than insulin in your body. And also, hormone glucagon triggers the set of enzymes which are responsible for allowing fat cells to release fatty acids in the bloodstream to be used for energy. If you have insulin as a dominating hormone in your body, meaning you're eating carbohydrates all the time, your body will produce enzymes which will lock fat cells, and they will lock fatty acids within the fat cells. It won't release them out. So you can't have insulin as a dominant hormone and burn fat physiologically. It's impossible, and no supplement will do that. So these two hormones, which relate to your diet, will decide about you either gaining fat or losing fat. So and this would be more or less everything that I cover in my book, and I I believe that the book will answer all your questions that you may have, and lots of people have been trapped in this mantra of weight loss, and they just couldn't get out of it. I personally know people who have lost dramatically weight and then gain it back maybe 20, 25 times in their lifetime, and they're still doing it. I see them and they're like almost obese, and then I see them in 6 months and they are looking like ghosts, hardly walking, but they lost weight. Then to see them in 3 or 4 months later, they're back to the basics. I also had clients who were doing that, and I couldn't continue working with them because they didn't follow my advice. And I didn't want to have clients who would get in shape and then disappear for 2-3 months and come back again overweight or obese, and then again, because I'm really not just business relating relationship with them. I'm also emotionally attached to them. I want them to succeed, but some of them would just go up and down and up and down. So I would say I couldn't work with them anymore, because this this attitude towards lifestyle change is for me is unacceptable. So I can't, because I can't help there. So once again, to recap, weight loss is irrelevant. Unless you lose predominantly body fat, weight loss doesn't mean anything. Simply because when you lose weight, you don't know what you have lost, how much fat, how much protein, how much water. So when people do that with crash diets, or do that with cutting calories and just focusing on losing weight, this is exactly what is going to happen. More than 50% of the weight lost will be muscle tissue. You don't want to do that, because muscle tissue is the most expensive tissue in the human body. More muscle tissue you have, faster your metabolism. Faster your metabolism, more body fat you will burn. So weight loss is not important. What is important is fat loss. The problem with fat loss is that it requires, first, knowledge, second, commitment, and third, most importantly, lifestyle change. So when I talk about fat loss, I'm not talking about some quick fix in 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever weeks, 2 months, 6 months. No, I'm talking about a lifestyle change. I've seen over 3,000 clients during my career, and every time people would follow my advice, they would slowly shed all the body fat, and they will end up in amazing shape that sometimes they couldn't even dream about. But what they've done, they have changed their lifestyle. And changing the lifestyle when it comes to fat loss means changing your dietary habits and also introducing weight training into your daily regime. So you can check on my other videos. I talk a lot about training for fat loss, most effective selection of exercises, most effective training systems, how many times per week you should train, how many sets you should do per muscle group, how many reps per set. You will find that in my other videos. So check them out. Everything is explained there. And also, I also have videos that in detail explain everything about a healthy diet that will help you build muscle and burn fat at the same time. So I hope that you have got a message and you have understood why is fat loss important and why is weight loss irrelevant. You don't just want to go for weight loss, you want to go for fat loss. And then whatever comes after with your weight loss, that will be basically irrelevant, because as I said, you may end up being the same weight or maybe heavier weight, but you will end up being with less body fat. So this is the most critical part. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like this video, subscribe if you didn't, and also send me your messages or your comments, because they're very important for us. And don't forget to check my ebooks, which are there for you. They are loaded with very detailed explanation about fat loss, about muscle growth, about nutrition, and lifestyle change, something that you will really benefit from. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, I wish you all the best, and take care of yourselves.